J-Dubb here. So the World Cup is going on today, and it brings to mind three things I want to talk about. One thing I want to talk about is football. Another thing I'm going to talk about is football. And while I'm at it, I also want to discuss rugby. Specifically, what I want to do is I want to clear up the confusion as to why most of the world refers to a sport that involves kicking a ball as football, whereas other countries refer to it as soccer and call completely different sports with hardly any kicking football. The reason for this is actually quite simple in that all these sports which are referred to as football actually originated from one sport referred to as football. A sport aptly named in that it involves kicking a ball with your feet. Now when you look at today's soccer football and compare it with today's American gridiron football, they look like two completely different sports. One involves kicking a round ball into a net, and the other one involves throwing around an oblong-shaped ball, running with it, and a lot of padding and helmets. But as different as these sports may be today, they actually have similar origins. So football began as a game which involves two teams trying to kick a ball into an opposing goal. But it's also important to note that early versions of football actually allowed people to grab the ball. Each school tended to have their own rules. Eventually several schools got together in London and created universal rules for football, which involved rules such as no touching the ball with your hands. This rule set was known as association football, or for short, soccer. The term soccer actually began in England, not the US. Some schools, however, preferred rugby football and created their own universal rule set for rugby. Several things that made rugby football different from association football were the oval-shaped ball, the ability to hold the ball, setting the goalpost 10 feet off the ground, and the touchdown. As American football became more unified, running the ball rugby style became more popular than kicking the ball, and an oblong ball became more popular than the round ball. When American rules were agreed upon, several rugby rules were involved, including raised goalposts, tackling, and the touchdown became the primary means of scoring. But the thing that really gave American football its own feel came many years later: the forward pass. This was originally implemented for safety reasons, but is now the main way that the game is played. Eventually, when association football came to the US, as well as Canada, Australia, and Brazil, people just called it soccer rather than having two sports called football. And over time, the sweaters and leather helmets of American football were replaced by shoulder pads, hard helmets, and face masks, giving it a completely different look and feel from soccer. So, now you know why Americans refer to most of the world's football as soccer and a different sport as football.